I've recently spent way more time than a 35-year-old bloke really should thinking about what I'd love to see from Titanfall 3's campaign should we ever get the sequel so many of us long for. Titanfall 2 is one of my favourite games ever. Hit the card on screen now to watch my retrospective gushing about it. And there are so many ways developer Respawn Entertainment could up the ante for the next instalment. This first one is perhaps the least surprising thing anyone has ever said about a potential Titanfall 3, but BT7274 and Cooper need to take centre stage again. BT of course sacrificed himself at the end of the last game, but considering Cooper's helmet flashes the Morse code for Jack with a question mark during the post-credits sequence, and earlier BT had transferred some of himself to Cooper's helmet during Effect and Cause, it's fairly safe to assume our favourite robot buddy is alive and kicking. It would be good to have a twist thrown in though to shake things up. At the end of Titanfall 2, Kuben Blisk, leader of the Apex Predators, leaves Cooper his card, having been impressed by his resilience.
It's your lucky day, hero. I'm not going to kill you. I don't work for free. But you don't get to kill me either. Yeah, you earned this, eh?
Respawn clearly frames the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation as the series' villains, but there are shades of grey. The Frontier Militia is after all made up of criminals, bandits, pirates and the like. Cooper becoming disillusioned with the militia, at least for a time, and leaving with BT to do some mercenary work would give us a chance to gain an outsider's perspective of them, helping add some more depth to the story. If you've played Titanfall 2's fantastic multiplayer, you've no doubt had a ton of fun swinging around like a grizzled Spider-Man using the grapple ability. There really needs to be a single-player level built around the mechanic, similar to time travel in Effect and Cause or the Arc tool in the Beacon, each of which were given their moment in the spotlight. An argument could even be made that it should be a permanent ability, although I'd argue against that. Halo Infinite recently featured its own variation on the idea, and if there's one thing I've learned from that game, it's that its utility is so good it becomes a crutch, rather than something used in specific circumstances. Regardless, it absolutely has to be included in Titanfall 3's campaign, given how much it adds to the series' already spectacular movement. I'd also like to learn a lot more about the IMC. They are an intriguing villain who did their job admirably during Titanfall 2 considering the game's rapid runtime, but there's plenty more we could find out about them and several questions that have been left unanswered. Do they still have access to fold weapon technology? What do they know about its mysterious origins and the like? We have already been given some insight into their ambitions thanks to General Marder's audio logs, which can be scavenged during Titanfall 2's campaign.
Decisively neutralizing the militia forces. Yes, pilot, may I help you?
But I'd love for Marder, or indeed a few new IMC baddies, to get some extra screen time during a sequel. In almost every mission in Titanfall 2, you come across a new Titan loadout you can immediately equip BT with. Some of my favourites include Ronin, which gives you a sword, the long-range North Star, and the flame-throwing Scorch. Respawn's idea of featuring them in their campaign was a very clever one, as they served a dual purpose. Working on the assumption you'd equipped whatever you found to try out, they were able to design levels with each specific loadout in mind, and they prepared you for the game's online component, removing the need for several Titan tutorials. My idea messes with all that a little, as what I'd really enjoy is being able to have more control over the individual components BT is equipped with. Titanfall 2 did a really good job of making us care about him, which is no mean feat as part of a 5-hour or so experience, and adding elements of personalisation so he truly feels like your BT, I think would be a huge plus. Whenever I play through Titanfall 2, which is more often than I'd care to admit, I enjoy the story well enough, but I'm really there for the gameplay. Except for Cooper and BT's relationship. What Respawn managed to do with it in the time they had was superb, with their dialogue hitting that sweet spot between heartfelt and hilarious.
This Titan weapon is an advanced design and may give us a tactical advantage.
I think somebody's in love.
A human's concept of love requires admiration, attraction, devotion, and respect. Conclusion: I am 50% in love.
Assuming Titanfall 3's writers are able to recapture that magic, it would be great to also meet a few more Titans, each with their own personalities. Now, this needs to be done carefully. I remember enjoying the first couple of Transformers films back in the day, but the continued introduction of wackier and wackier robots was a big thumbs down from me, so the writing would still need to remain relatively grounded. However, if Respawn were able to pull it off, hearing other Titans chattering away with each other would be quite entertaining. I've always said Titanfall 2's length is perfect for what it is, and so while I'm a tad hesitant about asking for this next one, I would like Titanfall 3's campaign to be a smidgen longer. That being said, I don't think more missions is a necessity if Respawn are able to keep the outrageously high standards they set for themselves with 2. What I would enjoy is just a little bit more time allowed for world building and character interactions, to flesh out existing storylines and to introduce new ones. Actually, I don't know what I'm saying. Give me that and give me a couple more levels too. Titanfall 3 being somewhere in the region of 7 to 8 hours to complete, as opposed to 5 or 6, would make me one happy camper. I always get flack from a few people whenever I talk about this, and hey, maybe I am just chatting cake, but I've never been a huge fan of Titanfall 2's boss battles. Some of them are decent, think Ash due to her having by far the most personality of any of the Apex Predators, or Viper because look at the blooming spectacle, it's awesome.
Voodoo 1, Viper's on station. Your journey ends here, pilot. The skies belong to me. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
But most of the rest I could honestly take or leave. If Respawn does continue down the boss battle route, there needs to be a bit more imagination on display to justify their inclusion. As much as I enjoy Ash as a character, you're simply fighting another Titan in a pretty run-of-the-mill arena, and the same can be said for Kane, Richter and Sloan. Figure out how to give each of Titanfall 3's bosses their own unique flavour, something which will make them much more memorable, like Viper, and Titanfall 3's campaign will be all the better for it. This is one that doesn't need a whole lot of explaining, but the option to play Titanfall 3 with a mate would be very much appreciated. Titanfall 2 is a game in the mould of Call of Duty, and so although there wouldn't be quite as many opportunities for mayhem as there would be in, say, a Halo title, Activision's blockbuster series proves that co-op can still be fun within a more linear structure. I can't see teaming up with a pal to leap around levels while bringing down entire platoons of Titans together being anything other than an absolute hoot, and it would add an extra layer of replayability which would be especially important if the campaign does clock in around the same time as its predecessor. Level design should still be tailored to function best when only one person is playing, but with so many of 2's areas already having multiple paths through them, I don't think adding a pilot POW into the mix would affect things too much. Running and gunning as Cooper is a boatload of fun. Exploding everything in your path as BT is a boatload of fun. Mixing the two seamlessly together is not something Respawn managed to do too often during Titanfall 2.
Ash to Kappa 3. I have located a security breach. Loading dock 13. Over.
Roger. Kappa 3 en route. Out.
Pilot, I cannot free myself. Cooper.
If there was one major improvement I'd make to that side of things, it would be including more sections which force you to switch backwards and forwards between the pair on the fly. Some environments would be larger and more open, with areas BT cannot access, requiring you to jump out, solve an issue by wall running and shooting stuff as Cooper, before you then get stuck into some more mech-on-mech action, and vice versa. What we got in Titanfall 2 was some segments which were clearly for Cooper, some segments which were clearly for BT, but few during which switching between them was that viable an approach, especially since most of BT's parts threw a lot of Titans and other enemies at you, making on-foot combat a terrible idea. If Respawn could figure out how to better mesh the two styles, we'd be in for a real treat. My biggest concern with this video is that some viewers might think I'm playing it too safe with a few of these suggestions, so I thought I'd conclude with one a little bit more left field. Destructible environments, I think, would make Titan-based sections especially exhilarating. I don't know that it would necessarily work very well or really be worth the immense amount of time and effort I'm sure it would take to implement, but seeing buildings crumble around you as you launched barrages of rockets across an area at incoming enemies would be pretty cool. In fairness, Titans already feel fairly weighty, but I cannot imagine the satisfaction of seeing troops shooting at you from the roof of a nearby building and being able to simply smash the structure to pieces, a bit like some of the scenes during 2's amazing introduction. Give me a bit of that Battlefield-style frostbite destruction, please, Respawn. And with that, we've reached the end of my list. Thank you for watching the video, boys, girls and pilots. If you'd like to see a sequel, do consider liking, subscribing and sharing your wishes for Titanfall 3, and hopefully I'll catch you again soon.